love Ash's Hoenn Pokemon, so I wanted to see if it was possible to beat Pokemon Omega Ruby playing as Ash Ketchum. That means using only the Pokemon that Ash owns, and to make things way harder, using only the moves that Ash's Pokemon used in the anime. My two goals for this challenge are to catch all of Ash's available Pokemon, and use only these Pokemon to beat the game. With limited Pokemon, limited moves, and a huge stack of extra difficult rules on top, could Ash become the Hoenn champion? Well, let's find out. Are you a boy or a girl? This is a tough one. See, Ash, isn't it nice in here too? Yeah, Mum, I love it here. But who's that guy? Well, since Mimey went out to buy some milk and never came home, Machoke's gonna be your new dad. Actually, I hate it here. We meet our rival, May, and I'm sure we'll get along fine. Now we can choose our starter. However, it's hardly a choice since Ash only had a Trico. So that's who I'm taking, and honestly, I love this little green gecko. Welcome to the team, Trico. As much as I love Trico, I want to know in the comments below which of Ash's Hoenn Pokemon is your favorite. Ash, I've heard so much about you from your father. Oh, really? Which one? Now we can begin our adventure. But there's a problem. While my Trico does know 3 moves, of these, Ash's Trico only used Pound, a really pathetic move. So, under the rules of this challenge, that means I can only use Pound, at least until we get some more moves. Although, I do love how the animation for Pound is basically Trico just slapping the living daylights out of the enemy. So, after slapping our way to level 7, we battle May and pound her Torchic down into a chicken nugget. Birch gives us a Pokedex and urges us to fill it, but our Pokedex is gonna be pretty empty this time around, since Ash doesn't get many Pokemon in Hoenn, making this challenge even harder. After slapping our way through the trainers on the next route, Trico finally learned a new move that we can actually use, Quick Attack. Except, it's basically just a speedier version of Pound, so that doesn't really solve our problem. Anyway, once we make it to Petalburg, we meet the gym leader. Ah, you made it, son. Wait, now you're my dad? Yep. Your mum moves pretty fast. After making it to Route 104, I was ready to catch my first new team member. Except, instead, I somehow found this stupidly over-leveled Wingull. I couldn't escape, and... Yep, our first loss. And it was to a wild Pokemon. Mine? That was embarrassing, but Ash is known for taking a lot of L's. We were battered and bruised, but at least we can still play the sponsor of this video, Guardian Tales. Guardian Tales is an awesome adventure RPG playable on the Nintendo Switch. With its gorgeous pixel art style, in this game, you'll become a Guardian Knight, exploring and working with other Guardians to save the world. It's got everything from an epic sci-fi fantasy story to puzzles and even thrilling battles. Just like Pokemon, you can gradually power up your character as you play and unlock a whole variety of new weapons and skills to use, adding strategy and excitement to your battles. The puzzles are also really fun, challenging you to creatively solve problems like lifting heavy boulders, throwing bombs, and swinging yourself across obstacles. And Guardian Tales just had a huge update concluding the first season. I won't spoil too much, but the epic conclusion involves some crazy bosses, as well as making a pivotal choice that decides your fate. And the best part is that Guardian Tales is free to download and play on the Nintendo Switch. So click my link in the description to get started and try Guardian Tales now. After retracing my steps and making it back to the scene of the crime, I spent ages hunting for the rarest Pokemon here, and eventually, I found a Taillow, Ash's adorable little Hoenn bird who made its debut by stealing chocolate. And according to the Pokedex, Taillow cries loudly if it becomes hungry. Honestly, this little bird is probably my spirit animal. The trainer school is excellent. If you study there, you might one day become a gym leader. I think I'm a little overqualified to be a gym leader. I don't think there's any gym leader who could possibly stand a chance against me. Now in Rustboro, it's time for our first gym. The puzzle is so easy that I'm sure even Ash and his 2 brain cells could manage it. However, despite being only the first gym, Roxanne is a problem. Her 2 rock types have huge defense, and literally every single one of my moves aren't very effective. And to make matters worse, half my team is weak to rock. This was looking like a nightmare. Despite that, Ash stepped up to Roxanne, ready to show just how powerful he was. Alright Trico, give me your best quick attack. Okay, never mind. Soon after, Trico fell, but that's fine because now it's Taillow's time to shine. Taillow, use wing attack! Oh god, we are so screwed. I was absolutely crushed by Roxanne. I tried again, but we weren't even close to taking out her Geodude, let alone the vacuum nose Pokemon that she has in the back. If we couldn't even beat the first gym, then how would we even stand a chance against Hoenn's top trainers? This all made me curious. How on earth did Ash beat this gym in the anime? Well, the short answer is hacking. This cheater won by thunderbolting Geodude, a ground type. Anyway, we were in a really tough spot. We only have these two Pokemon, and we can't level them any higher due to my rule of no overleveling. So what can we do? Well, I looked at the moves that our Pokemon can learn more closely, and one of them caught my eye. Bullet Seed. Trico uses this move in the anime, and in the OG games, you got the TM for it really early on. But in Omega Ruby, it's no longer a TM, and Trico can only learn the move by breeding. Technically, I could learn Bullet Seed just by trading over a Trico egg from another save file. So, since we don't have any alternatives, in true Ash Ketchum fashion, I decided to bend the rules. I mean, if he can electrocute a Geodude, I think I can do this. After Trico ate a bunch of watermelons and spat out the seeds, eventually we learned Bullet Seed. With that, I stepped up to Roxanne, ready for a rematch. And this time, things were very different. Bullet Seed is quite effective against Geodude, so we immediately crush it. Sergeant Sniff is next, and it does hang around longer, but all it can smell is a big fat L, as Trico fires off Bullet Seeds like it's nobody's business, slaughtering Nosepass, and giving us our revenge over Roxanne. That's Ash's first Hoenn badge in the bag. Hey, wait a minute, it's that Wingull from earlier, and I think it took my wallet. Quick, kill it! Oh, hey Ash, have you been catching lots of Pokemon? Yeah, so many. Like, I can't even count them all. Anyway, now we can sail to Dewford Town. While exploring the area, this guy gives us a pretty silk scarf, which makes my Taillow look very stylish. After doing a bunch of training, our Trico reached level 16, finally evolving into Grovyle. I adore this guy. Grovyle is easily one of Ash's coolest Pokemon, and I love it even more after the Mystery Dungeon games. With my bird and upgraded Gecko, it was time for Ash to take on the next gym. The leader is Brawly, who I'm gonna assume is skiing on the spot. Yep, he's definitely skiing. Anyway, Brawly the legendary skier uses fighting types, so it was time to unleash the burb. A wing attack just falls short of KOing Machop before Karate Chop does solid damage. Brawly heals, however, one more wing attack can finish Machop. Next is Makuhita, but my bird wasn't done hunting yet. All it takes is one wing attack for Taillow to destroy Makuhita, giving us a quick win, as well as Ash's second badge. We had a rough start to the gym challenge, but now it felt like we had some real momentum. Now I was feeling confident about our chances. Little did I know, our problems were only just beginning. After exploring the Granite Cave, we confront Steven, whose main personality trait is that he likes rocks. Wow, you must be the life of the party. I think that you have what it takes to be a Pokemon League champion. Obviously. I've already done it like twice. A short boat ride brings us to Slateport City, where, more Wingull! Taillow, rinse these fools. While crushing some Magma Grunts, Taillow learned Double Team, a cheesy move that I really hope we don't have to rely on. Though you are but a child, your eyes tell me of your fierce determination. Oh yes, so very fierce indeed. Maxie shares his plan to expand the landmass, which I'm sure would make perfect sense to Ash and his two brain cells. Anyway, on the next route, we're faced by Ash's Hoenn Bay, May. This fight is notoriously difficult. It's a 2-on-3, and May has some powerful Pokemon. She leads with a Wailmer, but a few Bullet Seeds from Grovyle can take care of that Blubber Ball pretty quickly. Although her Combusken is a problem. I tried switching into Taillow, but Combusken's Flame Charge does so much damage. Taillow quickly went down, with a single Flame Charge also incinerating my Grovyle. Once again, we had lost. This challenge was proving way harder than I expected, but I persisted. On my next attempt, Grovyle took out Wailmer while still at full HP. However, this time against Combusken, I stay in with Grovyle and hit it with my most powerful attack. Grovyle quickly falls, but this lets me get Taillow in safely. I am hit by Sand Attack, which puts my whole plan at risk. However, our Taillow clutches up, landing an enormous wing attack onto Combusken, followed by a quick attack on the next turn to Kentucky Fry that chicken. Last is Shroomish, but a few wing attacks take care of that, giving us our revenge. Take that, May. Our Taillow went absolutely huge there. 1 like equals 1 seed for our best bird. Soon after, we'd made it to Moorville City. Would you like the muck bike or the acro bike? Lame. Have you got any Koraidon in stock? I want a bike that doesn't actually use its wheels. Those damn bike Pokemon are putting me out of business. Get out of my store. Now it's time for our next gym. But this one horrifies me. Watson has 3 Pokemon, with 2 of them being Steel types. That's a problem because literally every single move I have isn't very effective against Steel. Not only are we at a numbers disadvantage, but we also can't even damage these stupid magnets. I tried taking on Watson, but this did not go well. Tailo just dies to a single super effective Volt Switch, and while Grovyle can KO Voltorb, we don't stand a chance against Watson's Steel types, with Grovyle being easily crushed. That's another loss for Ash, and it wasn't even close. In typical Ash fashion, we were getting slapped around in this challenge. Once again, we were in a really tough spot, and it didn't seem like there was any way forward. But then, I remembered something important. By backtracking to Slateport City, just like the anime, Ash can take part in a contest. Naturally, our Tailo is so cool that we were actually able to win the cool contest. But here is the important part. After the contest, we're approached by this breeder who was so inspired by Ash's coolness that she just gives us a Pikachu. Now we had Ash's iconic, ketchup-loving, adorable little mascot. The Pikachu we were given is in full cosplay, which is fitting because Ash's Pikachu also loves dressing up. Anyway, now we had 3 Pokemon to make it an even fight against Watson. However, this is still incredibly tough because out of Pikachu's huge move pool, we only have Quick Attack and Electro Ball, which, just like the rest of our attacks, are all resisted by Watson. But a lack of type coverage has never stopped Ash before, so with my new Electrified Rat, I stepped up to Watson for a rematch. This time, I lead with Tailo, which may seem stupid since it got absolutely clapped last time. However, this time, my Tailo is literally acting as bait, because this baits Watson into using an electric move as I switch into Pikachu. And since this Pikachu has the Lightning Rod ability, we soak up any electric moves while also getting a special attack boost. Now our Pikachu is supercharged, and we can crush Magnemite with 2 Electro Balls. Next is Voltorb, so I switch into Grovyle to keep Pikachu healthy. With an onslaught of Bullet Seeds, we KO the angry little ball in no time at all. This leaves only Magneton, but it's the biggest threat on Watson's team. I stay in with Grovyle just to do as much chip damage as possible before our Gecko goes down. I go with Tailo next, and just like against Magnemite, I switch back into Pikachu on the incoming Volt Switch and soak up the electricity. All I can do now is fire off Electro Balls. A second one puts Magneton on the brink of death, but I'm confused by Supersonic, and I know that Watson is about to heal. So I switch Pikachu out to reset the status before pivoting back in on another Volt Switch. I continue my Electro Ball onslaught as we trade blows back and forth. However, Pikachu just survives one last Magnet Bomb before firing off an Electro Ball to finally take down Magneton, giving us a huge win over one of Ash's toughest challenges yet. You did good, Pikachu. 1 like equals 1 bottle of ketchup for our heroic rat. That's our 3rd badge, but we have really struggled so far. Now we can press on, except our path is blocked by rocks. I had to go and catch a Zigzagoon, but I'm only allowed to use it for HMs. So, just ignore the illegal raccoon hiding in my party. Anyway, after clearing the rocks, now we're able to head north towards the fiery path. And this is a critical spot for our challenge, as after hunting for ages, I found our next Pokemon, Torkoal. Ash's crying tortoise is adorable and lives rent-free in my heart. We caught Torkoal, and now we had a roster of 4. Although Torkoal doesn't know any usable moves yet, so our turtle is pretty useless for the time being. But we weren't done upgrading our team yet, because soon after, Tailo reached level 22, allowing it to evolve into an almighty Swellow. Swellow is so cool. I mean, look at this Chad stopping a Donphan with just its talon. He's definitely one of my favorites on Ash's team. Some dude tries to drag us into his secret base, but that sounds way too sus, so we nope right out of there. It's a really long trek, but eventually we make it to Meteor Falls, and here we meet the leader of Team Aqua, Archie. Let's flood the world and live like mermaids. He's probably the only person in the game with less brain cells than Ash. That's almost impressive. After ascending Mount Chimney, our next battle is against Maxie, who has 3 powerful Pokemon. We don't have a great matchup here, so I trained my team, and while preparing, Grovyle learned Leaf Blade. This is its signature move, and it looks awesome. On top of that, Torkoal learned Body Slam, a move it can actually use. I guess you're not useless anymore. Good for you. With our new and improved team, I stepped up to face Maxi. I lead with our mascot, Pikachu, since our chubby mouse doesn't really care about Mighty Ena's Intimidate. Electro Ball doesn't do much damage, but surprisingly, Mighty Ena uses Roar, which forces me out into Swellow. This is fine by me, since 2 Aerial Aces can slap Mighty Ena into its grave. Camerupt is next, and this is the real problem. Neither my Grovyle or Pikachu stand a chance against this thing. I have Swellow hit Aerial Ace, which does just less than half. However, on the next turn, we land a lucky critical hit, allowing us to finish off the deadly Camerupt. This leaves only Golbat, but Pikachu can take care of that, giving us a clean win. After descending the mountain, we reach Lava Ridge Town, where Ash can relax in the hot spring. But now it was time for our next gym battle. Watson was incredibly difficult, and I expect Flannery's fire types to be just as tough. And for the first time, we actually have more Pokemon than the gym leader. So, under my rules, we can only bring 3 Pokemon to make it an even fight against Flannery. Since our Grass Gecko isn't going to be able to do much here, I had our Grovyle sit on the sidelines this time around. So, with my team chosen, we stepped up to the red-hot fire leader, Flannery. She leads with Slugma, which has an absolutely pathetic special defense stat. So, a single Electro Ball quickly takes care of that slug. Next is Numel, and I know that an Earth Power is coming, so I can switch into Swellow for free since it's immune to ground moves. An Aerial Ace just falls short of getting the KO. However, this is perfect since it baits Flannery into burning her Hyper Potion. With a few more Aerial Aces, Numel also falls, leaving her with only Torkoal. This turtle is so bulky that Aerial Ace barely does anything before Swellow gets annihilated with a single Overheat. So, how do we counter this thing? Well, with a Torkoal of our very own. All I can do is spam Body Slam, and this doesn't do much damage, but Flannery's Torkoal also can't really damage me. So, our 2 turtles slowly wear each other down. However, once my Body Slam hits the chance for paralysis, our win is sealed, as a few more Body Slams eventually finish off the imposter Torkoal. That's Ash's 4th badge secured, and our team was starting to come together. Flannery also gives us the Overheat TM, which I immediately teach to Torkoal, finally giving it a Fire-type move. And from here, we don't slow down at all. As soon as we exit the gym, May drags us all the way back to Petalburg to take on the next gym right away. This gym is interesting because it's run by our dad. No, not that one. No, not that one either. Yeah, this guy. This gym is really scary because Norman has not 1, but 2 Slacking, a Pokemon which has the same stat total as Groudon and Kyogre, while our Pokemon are a little less impressive. I really wasn't looking forward to this. Once again, I have to bench a Pokemon, and since Slacking has so much physical bulk, once again, Grovyle is going to be on the bench. With that, I stepped up to Norman, ready for a tough fight. But little did I know, Ash's plot armor was about to go insane. I lead with Torkoal, and we're immediately hit by Yawn. However, Torkoal fires off its new powerful move, Overheat, and an insane critical hit means that we KO Slacking in 1 shot. That was so lucky. Vigoroth is next, and since Torkoal is about to fall asleep, I switch into Swellow and take big damage from an incoming Retaliate. Then, Swellow's mid-battle snack of an Oranberry gives us some small recovery. On the next turn, I fire off an Aerial Ace, and we get another critical hit. Swellow massively clutches up by just surviving another Retaliate, meaning 1 more Aerial Ace can finish Vigoroth. Now Norman was down to only his final Slacking. Swellow immediately goes down, which lets me bring Torkoal out. I fire off Body Slams, and thankfully get the paralysis on my 2nd try. From here, 1 final Overheat is enough to crush Slacking, giving us the win and badge number 5. We had so much luck there. Ash's plot armor really is unmatched. Now stay away from my mum. Oh, about that. She left me for some guy who likes rocks. Oh, not the rock guy. Anyway, we're given the Surf HM, which opens up the map. With this, we can surf to the right of Moorville and talk to this fisherman, who gives us a good rod. And this is our ticket to getting our next Pokemon, because by fishing on Route 117, after finding a lot of garbage, eventually we fish up a Corphish. It doesn't get many moves, and it only knows Bubble Beam for now, but I don't care. I love this guy. Ash's Corphish has so many hilarious moments, and it's just an all-round Chad Pokemon. How can you not love this lobster? After leveling it up, our Corphish tried to evolve, but since Ash never had a Crawdon, our little Corphish is going to stay as a Corphish. Moving on, we meet up with... Steven. Hello, son. Stay away from my mum. Go and marry a rock instead. Anyway, for some father-son bonding, Steven takes us for a ride on Latias. Quick side note, because I have to talk about this. In the Pokemon Heroes movie, Latias falls in love with Ash, disguises itself as a human girl, and then proceeds to kiss Ash. This is so weird, and I have so many questions about this. Anyway, after slapping Team Magma around, we're given a Latios who can Mega Evolve. But since Ash doesn't have a Latios, we can't use it. And the all-powerful Mega Jet Pokemon will become an overqualified HM user. After crushing Team Magma in the Weather Institute, we're confronted by May for a rematch. Our last battle was really tough, but while we've gotten stronger, May still has the same 3 Pokemon. So this battle was free, with Pikachu electrocuting Wailmer, before Swellow absolutely obliterated her Shroomish, as well as Combusken. I think you should stick to contests, May. Ugh, it's you again. Leave me alone. If you call me Dad, I'll buy you a VR headset. Thanks, Dad. You're the best. Steven also gives us the Sceptile. While Mega Sceptile is awesome, Ash never Mega Evolved his Sceptile, so we can't either. Now it was time for Ash to take on the next gym. Once again, we've got an extra Pokemon, and since this is the flying gym, once again, Grovyle will be on the sidelines for the 3rd time in a row. Sorry about that, buddy. Winona leads with her Swellow, so I recreated the showdown from the anime, leading with my very own Swellow. Fun fact, her Swellow was actually a shiny in the show. I move first and immediately hit it for more than half. Winona uses Double Team, but that's futile since Aerial Ace can't miss. So one of these on the next turn is enough for our Swellow to establish its dominance. Just like the anime. Against the incoming Skarmory, my Aerial Ace does pathetic damage, however this breaks Skarmory's sturdy ability. So once I switch into Torkoal, all it takes is one super effective overheat to melt down that metallic bird. Torkoal continued going huge, with a body slam also paralyzing Altaria. After Torkoal finally falls to an earthquake, I go with Pikachu next. And despite Winona healing, a few Electro Balls from our mascot Mouse are enough to get the KO. Last up is Pelipper, who Pikachu absolutely cooks with a quite effective Electro Ball, frying that bird out of the sky. That's Ash's 6th badge, and it felt like we really had some momentum now. However, we had some incredibly tough battles on the horizon. Moving on, and on the next route, our team got 2 huge upgrades. First, I was able to find a Light Ball. By giving this to Pikachu, it gets an enormous increase to its offense. Next up, our Grovyle evolved into its final form, Sceptile. This is hands down one of Ash's best Pokemon. Not only is it incredibly cool, but this guy even managed to take down a legendary Darkrai. What a Chad. Chasing after Team Magma brings us to Mount Pyre. That's a lot of grunts. Maybe if I sneak, they won't see me. Damn it, but why do you want to expand the land? We here at Team Magma, believe that there's too much water. So Maxie steals the Red Orb, as well as a fully fledged submarine. While this might sound like a job for Officer Jenny, the responsibility lies entirely on the shoulders of Ash and his 2 brain cells. In hot pursuit, we chase Team Magma all the way to Lily Cove City. While here, May challenges us to one final showdown, but her team still hasn't really improved much. So we make light work of it, slapping her roster around one after another. In fact, we beat her so badly that May just straight up ends her adventure immediately. Well, I guess this is goodbye, May. Ooh, the Pokemon Masterpiece exhibit. Let's take a look. I should never have come here. Next up, Ash has to raid the Team Magma hideout. Wait, I've got to take on 5 of you at once? Well, that hardly seems fair. After Corphish handles Courtney's Camerupt, Maxie escapes again. We'll need the Dive HM to continue the chase, which means we're gonna need to go and get Ash's 7th badge. But before that, I went and hunted for some new Pokemon in the Safari Zone. After searching for a while, I was able to find Ash's Heracross. However, catching it was a different story. This guy did not want to stay in the ball, and since I was running out of Pokeballs, I just threw my Master Ball. At the very least, it definitely seems like an Ash move to use the Master Ball on a bug. Anyway, now we had Heracross, the Pokemon that showed that it is in fact possible to drink a Bulbasaur. Delicious. After picking up the Solar Beam TM and some more bunny hopping, I was able to find our next Pokemon, Donphan. Except it didn't want to stay in the ball either, and I ran out of balls. Ugh. Once I finally found another Donphan, I killed it with a crit, as well as the one after that. This Donphan hunt felt cursed. like it just wasn't meant to be. But I persisted, and on the next encounter, I finally caught Ash's rolling elephant. Now that we'd upgraded Ash's roster of Pokemon, it was time to chase our next badge. A short surf east of Lily Cove brings us to Moss Deep City. I wonder what weirdo would possibly sleep next to a big pile of rocks. Anyway, we can practically head straight into the gym. This one is interesting because it's a double battle and the leaders only use 2 Pokemon. Most of my Pokemon have a terrible matchup here, pretty much leaving me with only Sceptile and Corphish. I think I'm seeing double. There's 4 gym leaders? It's a straight 2v2 showdown, and Lunatone worries me the most since it knows Hypnosis. So I have both Pokemon target Lunatone, and a Leaf Blade from Sceptile just falls short of getting the kill. The twins then set up a light screen, as well as begin charging Solar Beam with Solrock. However, this gives Corphish an opening to finish off Lunatone with a big Bubble Beam. On the next turn, Corphish gets absolutely blasted into the next dimension by an enormous Solar Beam. But now it's a 1v1 and Sceptile has the type advantage. With an onslaught of deadly Leaf Blades, we can wipe out Solrock, and with that, Ash had now claimed the penultimate badge. After the win, Steven invites us back to his place to show off his pet rocks. But he does give us the Dive HM, so it was kinda worth it. After training my team and visiting the move relearner, I was able to learn some powerful new moves. With these upgrades, now it was time to pursue Team Magma. While making our way through the seafloor cavern, we find the Earthquake TM, which I immediately teach to our deadly rolling elephant, Donphan. As we reach the bottom of the cavern, we're confronted by Maxie and Archie. We need to expand the landmass. No, we need to expand the ocean. Guys, relax. Why don't we just expand both the landmass and the ocean? Ash, you're an idiot. Maxie then forces us into one final showdown. I lead with Torkoal, who can overheat, followed by a flamethrower on the next turn to KO Mightyena. Next up is a Weezing, who immediately just blows itself up. Nice. Crobat does finally take out Torkoal, so I go with Donphan next, and this is where our elephant clutches up. My first rollout barely doesn't kill Crobat, but Donphan just survives another acrobatics before finishing Crobat with another rollout. This leaves Maxie with only his Mega Camerupt. However, Donphan isn't done dominating yet, as we move first, and an insanely lucky critical hit rollout is enough to crush that camel in just one shot. That's a huge win. Regardless, Groudon awakens, and all the adults collectively agree that the best possible person to send on this mission, is a 10-year-old boy who thunderbolts ground types. Okay, Ash, to contain the deadly Groudon, you're gonna need to use that Master Ball we gave you. Yeah, about that. Our only option is to battle Primal Groudon and take it down. I tried using Torkoal's Body Slam, but that did basically nothing. Torkoal fell immediately, and it was looking rough. However, now it's Sceptile's time to shine. While the sun does power up fire moves, it also allows Sceptile to use Solar Beam without needing a turn to charge. This does huge damage to Primal Groudon. Groudon tries to recover with rest, but it's not enough, as Sceptile can quickly fire off 2 more Solar Beams to slay the ancient legendary. Our little starter gecko from way back on Route 101 had crushed Groudon, adding another legendary Pokemon to its body count. This clears us to take on the 8th gym and try to earn Ash's final badge. Although, I severely doubt that Ash would be able to get past this puzzle. Anyway, with our chosen roster, we stepped up to the water gym leader, Wallace. I lead with our mascot, Pikachu, who now knows its signature move, Thunderbolt. Thanks to the boost from our Light Ball, a single Thunderbolt electrifies Luvdisc immediately. Wallace responds with his ground type, Whiscash, so I bring out Sceptile. After tanking an Earthquake, one quad-effective Leaf Blade fillets that fish. My Milotic is next, and this thing is powerful. Sadly, a Leaf Blade isn't enough to kill, with Sceptile being wiped out by an Ice Beam. We may have lost our Grass type, but we still have Pikachu. Wallace heals up my Milotic, but our Pikachu is so powerful that 2 Thunderbolts are all that we need to crush my Milotic. Wallace's final 2 fishies both fall to a single Thunderbolt each, and with the help of our mascot, Pikachu, we've claimed the 8th and final badge. Now we can take on the Pokemon League, where the hardest battles by far awaited Ash. But before that, I needed to finish our Ash Dex by catching the rest of Ash's Pokemon in Omega Ruby. So first I headed for the Shoal Cave, where I hunted until I found a Snorunt. Except I accidentally killed it. But once I found another one, I quickly caught it, and now we had Ash's shivering little snowman. And almost immediately, we can evolve it into the giant ice ball, Glalie. Just, please don't freeze me. Now we'd caught all of Ash's iconic Hoenn team, and you might think that our Ash Dex is done. Wrong, because the Hoenn remakes introduced a way for you to catch a bunch more Pokemon. At this point in the game, we can visit Professor Birch, who upgrades our Pokedex. This allows us to find extra Pokemon scattered throughout the region. For example, now on Route 101, we can find Sewaddle, which we can then evolve into Swadloon, then again to get our hands on Ash's Leavanny. Next up is the Fiery Path, where we eventually find Ash's little pet rock, Roggenrola, who quickly evolves into a slightly larger pet rock, Boldore. It took a really long time, but next, I was able to catch a Pidove, followed by a Pidgeotto. Then, after about 30 minutes of painful hunting, I finally found the crab! After catching Krabby, we can take the 3 Pokemon we just caught and evolve all of them to add a bunch of extra entries into our Ash Dex. It's also worth mentioning that Muck, Primeape, and Krokorok are obtainable, however, only in their base forms, which Ash never caught, so I won't be able to catch them in this challenge. Anyway, our Ash Dex wasn't done yet, so I got back to hunting. On Route 118, I was able to find both an Apom as well as Raticate, which, yeah, Ash actually had for like 1 episode. It's a funny coincidence, but both of these are Pokemon that Ash traded away. After finding a cute little Scraggy on Route 113, we only needed 1 more Pokemon. And after an incredibly long grind, I finally found Gibble, Ash's adorable baby shark who just loves to bite things. After catching Gibble, we had finally completed our first main goal of catching every single one of Ash's Pokemon in the main game. So now, all that remained was to see if Ash Ketchum could truly conquer the Hoenn Pokemon League. I made my way to Evergrande City and gradually pushed through the difficult terrain of Victory Road, doing a bunch of tough battles along the way. This all culminates in a final showdown with Wally. While his team has gotten a lot stronger, by this point, he was no match for Ash's team, as we gradually slapped his Pokemon straight back to Verdanturf. Now we've made it to the Pokemon League, which is by far the toughest part of this challenge. Some of these trainers are insane, and while we have some powerful Pokemon, you know me, and I love a challenge. So I decided to take this challenge to the next level by using Ash's actual Hoenn team to try and conquer the Pokemon League. With a very limited move pool and a team that definitely has some weak links, could Ash actually become a Hoenn champion? Well, let's find out. First up is Sydney, and this is a matchup that I actually feel pretty good about. I lead with Pikachu against Mightyena, and a supercharged Thunderbolt can shock that big puppy in just 1 shot. A switch into Torkoal against Shiftry gives us a quick KO with Flamethrower, which then baits out Sydney's Sharpedo, who I know wants to use a water move. So I switch into Sceptile, who eats the Aqua Jet comfortably. Then, on the next turn, a super effective Leaf Blade slices that shark in half. I tried to also KO Absol with Leaf Blade, but just fell short, and Sceptile was crushed by a crit Aerial Ace. Now it's Corefish's time to shine, and I've given our little Lobstar the Eviolite just to give it some extra defense. And our Corfish is an absolute Giga Chad, because even after a full restore, it annihilates Absol with a single Crab Hammer. You did good, Corfish. Anyway, last is Cacturne, who Torkoal can clean up very quickly with a huge Overheat. That's Sydney taken care of, but I didn't expect him to be too much trouble. Phoebe, on the other hand, is way more concerning. I don't have anything good against ghost types, so I was pretty worried. But I do have a plan. Leading with Sceptile, a Leaf Blade does just over half to Dusclops. I am hit with Confuse Ray, however, my Persian Berry heals the confusion instantly. This guarantees that I can land 1 more Leaf Blade on the next turn, busting Phoebe's first ghost. But next is Dusknoir, who is even spookier. I tried a Leaf Storm, but this doesn't do enough as Ice Punch cripples my Gecko. Phoebe heals, and 2 Leaf Blades just can't get the kill, so sadly, Sceptile falls. But now it was time for our real ace, Corfish. After Phoebe burns another full restore, a few Crab Hammers from our Crustacean are enough to knock out the Ace Ghost. Corfish soon falls, but he's done his job. As from here, Glalie can make its debut, and with a string of Ice Beams and Icy Winds, we freeze the remainder of Phoebe's ghosts back into the afterlife. That's 2 down. Next up is Glacier and her ice types. On the surface, this one looks really tough since 2 of my best Pokemon have an awful matchup against ice. However, this fight was straightforward. Torkoal can take out Glalie with a few flamethrowers. I switch into Sceptile against the incoming Wall Rain, but a Leaf Blade wasn't enough to KO, as Sceptile is decimated by a super effective Blizzard. However, now it was time for Ash's Pikachu to go absolutely wild, because with an onslaught of supercharged Thunderbolts, our ketchup-loving mascot was able to wipe through Glacier's Pokemon one after another. Pikachu's plot armor really is insane. That's Glacier defeated, but that's the easy part of the Pokemon League done. The final two battles really scare me. Next is Drake's Dragons, and if you look at my team, most of my Pokemon have an awful matchup against Dragon types. Regardless, I was determined to see just how my team would handle the heat of Drake's Dragons. I lead with Ash's Electrified Ace, Pikachu, and since Altaria has a secondary flying type, our Thunderbolts hit for neutral damage. This means that after tanking a Dragon Pulse, a second Thunderbolt on the next turn is enough to take it down. But Flygon is a different story. I know a ground move is coming, so switch into Swellow for free. And since I came into the Elite Four already burned, Swellow's Guts ability is activated. Combine this with a lucky critical hit, and a single Aerial Ace is enough to crush Flygon. This brings out Kingdra, so I switch into Corphish, who just decides to take a nap. You stupid lobster, wake up! After Corphish dies peacefully in his sleep, Sceptile goes kinda huge, with a Leaf Storm crushing Kingdra, as well as a few Leaf Blades being enough to take out the second Flygon. This leaves only Salamence, but this guy is a problem. Sceptile's attacks do nothing to this thing, as the Giant Dragon proceeds to KO both my Sceptile and my Pikachu. However, from this point, Swellow can fly back in, and just like it's done so often throughout this run, clutch up with two Aerial Aces crushing Salamence, giving us an unlikely win over Drake the Dragon Master. Now, only one battle remained, but this would be our toughest yet. No way, Dad? You're the champion? Sorry kid. Your mum left me for some guy in a lab coat. Oh man, not Professor Birch. Steven's team is insane. It's full of powerful Pokemon, including plenty of tough Steel types that my team has a terrible matchup against. This was going to be a wild final showdown. Steven leads with the Metal Bird, Skarmory, and Ash goes with the iconic Ace, Pikachu. This thing can be so annoying, so I need to take it out quickly. I fire off a big super effective Thunderbolt, but just can't get the kill thanks to Sturdy. However, this is where Ash's plot armor kicks in, because I hit the 10% chance for Thunderbolt to paralyze, and Skarmory was unable to move. Both of these things happening is only a 1 in 40 chance. But that's the Ash Ketchum plot armor in action, baby. Thanks to this insane luck, after Steven burns a full restore, we can finish Skarmory. But next up is another Steel Soldier, Aggron. I don't have anything to deal with this, so I stay in with Pikachu and fire off another big Thunderbolt. But it's not enough, and our little electric mouse is earthquaked into its grave. You did good though, Pikachu. At this range, Sceptile can quickly finish Aggron with a Leaf Blade, bringing out Steven's Cradily. A Leaf Blade doesn't do much damage, as Sceptile is hit with Confuse Ray. Regardless, I send my prayers to RNGesus and try to land a Leaf Storm, which thankfully connects, but just can't finish Cradily. We were still in a commanding spot, that is, until Steven healed, and Sceptile hit itself in confusion. While I did land one more Leaf Blade, Sceptile ultimately fell to a Sludge Bomb on the following turn. Now it was down to a 4v4, but we'd lost two of our strongest Pokemon. With limited options, I go with Swellow next, and somehow Aerial Ace just doesn't kill. Just like Sceptile, Swellow is hit by Confuse Ray, but I prepared for this. Swellow's Person Berry heals this immediately, clearing our bird for takeoff with one more Aerial Ace, finishing off the Demonic Plant. Next is Steven's Claydol, and we trade blows back and forth. However, Swellow just can't finish it off, ultimately falling to an extra sensory. Ash only had these three Pokemon left. Pikachu, Sceptile, and Swellow have carried the majority of this run, but if we were going to become champions, we'd have to rely on the other half of Ash's Hoenn team to get the job done. I put my faith in Corphish to finish things off, but missed its Crab Hammer and failed miserably in our moment of need. It's okay, Corphish, I still love you. Thankfully, Glaylie's Ice Beam can finish off Claydol, bringing out Armaldo. We then trade hits back and forth, but my Ice Ball hangs on just long enough to edge out Armaldo with a final Ice Beam. Now Steven was down to only his ace Pokemon, Metagross, an absolute powerhouse of a Pokemon that he makes even stronger by Mega Evolving. Just look at the stats on this thing, it's insane. A Bullet Punch from the Metal Menace immediately finishes off Glalie. Now we we were down to our final Pokemon, Torkoal. It was a 1v1 showdown between one of the strongest Pokemon ever and Ash's pet turtle who cries at every opportunity. It all came down to this. Metagross moves first and a Meteor Mash does decent damage, but Torkoal hangs strong. I follow up with a big flamethrower, but just can't get the kill. We're so close. On the next turn, Metagross fires off an incredibly powerful Giga Impact and Torkoal just survives in the red. This lets us hit one final overheat to crush Metagross, giving us an insanely clutch win over Steven. With that, Ash Ketchum had defeated Pokemon Omega Ruby and conquered the Hoenn region. Jump into this video next for more Pokemon content. Leave a like for Torkoal being a clutch god, and comment below which Pokemon on Ash's Hoenn team is your favorite. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.